How are we going to fix the Chargers? Justin Herbert, we got him. We got him locked up. We got the QB.
Got him.
And, my question with Greg Roman coming in, what does this offense look like? Roman, as offensive coordinator, wants
to run the ball.
They want to run the ball. I don't know. He does historically, but is that because he's had running quarterbacks?
No, he's already said,
I know what he said, but last year at this time, Mike McCarthy was saying, I want to run the ball. I'm the head coach and the play caller. I'm going to control the game. Mike McCarthy said a lot of things, and then come season, they threw the ball more than ever. So I know they say things. Roman has a history, though, of running the ball.
Yeah, he does. And I don't imagine he's going to go away from that.
What if this looks like, remember the Russ years of, I think Russ, everybody was asking about letting Russ cook because he would have games where he threw 25, 30 times.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a ton of big-time throws, high big-time throw percentage because it was a lot of play action, downfield throwing. If we're in this world where Herbert's not dropping back 40, 45 times anymore, and it's actually closer to 35, 30, and it's play action, chunk plays, leaning into his arm strength and everything, is that not the worst thing in the world? If that's what the offense looks like.
I don't have a problem with it as a strategy. Generally, I think we're still in a world where people are trying to unlock the 100th percentile of Justin Herbert, like his optimal ability, his optimal efficiency levels of quarterback, and maybe we end up settling in a world that's similar but for different reasons to Russ, which is actually what we thought was only 90% of how good he could be might actually have been 100%. Like, we already saw the best of what he could do, and it just might not be as good as everyone thought it was. So, but I'm still, like, any and all strategies to try and unlock what we believe is the full potential of Justin Herbert, I'm fine with. And if that's Greg Roman's offense and whatever version he crafts around Herbert, I don't have an issue with it just because it involves running the ball some more.
If they want to run the ball, I don't know what the offense looks like just because there was so much QB run game in Greg Roman's history. Lamar Jackson, Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
Historically, there's a lot.
He's really athletic.
Herbert should be used. One of the things that put Herbert on the map was like a 70-yard run as a freshman at Oregon. I get he's fast, but he should be used
and strong.
Yeah, but he's not playing battering ram QB power guy. Like, remember how you said the Giants just keep throwing Daniel Jones out to the Wolves in the QB run game?
Yeah, but part of that is Daniel Jones having like zero protective instincts for himself.
Yes, but like, shouldn't use him any more than Daniel Jones was used in the run game. Like the occasional keeper.
No, but that's quite a lot. I mean, Daniel Jones was a pretty instrumental part of that run game.
I was going to say Andy Dalton in the run game back when he was in Cincinnati. Yeah, like Dalton was a running quarterback, a good running quarterback at TCU.
Yeah,
and with the Bengals, he'd keep the ball 2 or 3 times a game tops, just to keep defensive ends honest, just to keep them honest. But he wasn't running downhill power. No, he was running zone keeper. If they don't respect it, that has to be the extent of it. I think with Herbert.
I think you can use him in the Daniel Jones spectrum, which is actually quite a lot of rushing. You just probably don't want to use him like Josh Allen, because Josh Allen is a singularly unique freak show. But he's like 6'6", 235. Like, he's big. He's had a very extensive injury history without the running stuff, so maybe you don't want to lean into it too much. But I don't think, I think you can use him quite a lot, like much more than a statue-like pocket passer. He can be a part of that run game. The big thing for the Chargers, like starting point number one, though, is they have no cap space, but quite a lot of obvious cap casualties.
Yeah.
So we need to take the scissors to the roster. Who are you getting rid of?
Okay, so here are the high-priced guys on the Chargers right now. I'm not looking at this year's cap number, but just APY over the course of their current contracts. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen at receiver.
Yep.
Both just over $20 million. Joey Bosa, $27 million. Khalil Mack, $23.5. Derwin James, safe in the offseason.
Wow, you just jinxed him.
$19 million. It is Corey Linsley, $12.5 million at center. But they have 5 non-quarterbacks at $19 million AAV or APY plus. That is a massive number. And that's why I think we get caught up in the names the last couple of years, because they had some good names.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought they were at good positions, right? 2 pass rushers, 2 receivers, and a do-it-all safety. That's why the team building effort with the Chargers, other than like the cap situation that they're in right now, I don't think it's been bad. I think they put a lot of good personnel out there. But clearly these guys aren't sticking around. So
so they are over $25 million over the salary cap.
do you have the best cap savings handy on all those guys?
Yeah, I do. Despite the fact that the salary cap obviously just moved in their direction. So, cap savings for some of the players you just mentioned. We cut Khalil Mack, we get $23 million back on the salary cap.
Got to do it.
We cut Joey Bosa, we get $14 million back on the salary cap. We cut Keenan Allen, we get $23 million back on the salary cap. We cut Mike Williams, we get $20 million back on the salary cap. We cut Eric Kendricks, we get $6.5 million back on the salary cap.
Yes, I'm here now.
There's some fairly significant dead money attached to most of those, but that's a real volume of cap saving if you want to purge any and or all of those guys.
I feel like Keenan Allen should stay.
Yeah, Mike Williams is the most obvious.
Mike Williams,
$20 million saving. You get 12.5 dead cap, but you save $20 million immediately.
The Joey Bosa Khalil Mack thing's interesting. Khalil Mack graded much better than Bosa. Had a decent year, but Mack felt like I don't know. He had the 6 sacks against the Raiders that one game. He felt like he just kind of dominated some not great tackles.
Yeah,
and was not helpful otherwise.
Right.
Despite having a very good grade.
I mean, a $23 million cap saving for getting rid of him, I feel like that's pretty obvious.
On the other hand, you've got Joey Bosa, who's played fewer than 600 snaps, less than 600 snaps over the last 2 years. And even when he was out there, people, maybe think Joey Bosa has underachieved a little bit. Nick has surpassed him as more dominant and more consistent and more healthy. So that's a tough one, man. Because Bosa's in year 8, 9 of his career. He's heading into year 9. Joey Bosa, year 9 of his career, man. Do you get rid of both, though? Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, and completely reset that position?
I mean, now's the time to do it if you're doing it. I think there's an argument for that. I mean, if you got rid of Mack, Bosa, Mike Williams, and Eric Kendricks, right?
Yeah.
You are saving, what is that, 37, 57, 63, $64 million against your salary cap. And then you're only 25 and a half over at the moment, so you basically freed up $40 million of space.
Now you're actually players in free agency if you want to be.
Yeah.
Completely overhauling the roster. But draft a bunch of Wolverines in the draft.
A lot of Michigan players.
Yeah. Just get the whole Michigan squad there. I mean, that's going to be interesting too, as the new scheme is, Ravens, Michigan, and the battle for those types of players, of which I don't even know what the specific type is. I think versatile linebackers are needed. I don't know if it's not as clear cut as, like a 2-high scheme or the Seattle cover 3 scheme. It's not as clear cut as what the style of player is, but you're pursuing the types of, their players.
I feel like Khalil Mack and Mike Williams in particular are no-brainers. I think Joey Bosa, the contract is different. It's a bigger dead cap hit. It's not as much of a saving. You can also free up some space by restructuring him. I feel like you can talk yourself into, he's had a bad injury run. Let's restructure him. Let's try and make that work again. And then Keenan Allen, I think, is just too important to the offense to let walk, even though it's a massive saving. So I would keep him around. But I certainly feel like the 2 big names, Khalil Mack and Mike Williams, they're gone.
Now, last year at this time, we said what the Chargers really need is speed on the offensive side of the ball. Because Mike Williams is not all that fast. He's a contested catch guy. Keenan Allen, not very fast, but an uber possession type, and he's awesome at that. They did draft Quentin Johnston, who's fast, doesn't catch the ball very well. But, I always say, you move your receivers a peg down the depth chart. So let's talk about pick number 5.
Number 5.
Because Greg Roman has said, run the ball, as I tweeted out the other day, well, Joe Alt could be there at 5. Alt's not your mauling run blocker, but I think he's still the best all-around run blocker in the game. Not going to move people as much as, say, Fuaga from Oregon State or maybe even J.C. Latham from Alabama, but he loses less, and he's good in the zone game. He could run the power game, the downhill power game. Not your best gap blocker, I guess, for Roman, but Joe Alt is still your cleanest tackle. Put him in at right tackle opposite Rashawn Slater. That's if they want to go that route.
Yeah.
Most Chargers fans, though, they want Malik Neighbors. And I am okay with that. I am perfectly fine with Malik Neighbors at 5, pairing him with Keenan Allen, at least in the short term here. Taking a little pressure off Quentin Johnston. Let him be the 3. Let him just be a deep threat, or, run the shallow cross that he ran 71 yards against Michigan for a touchdown in the college football playoff. Malik Neighbors at 5 for the Chargers.
That's interesting, actually, how much of an impact Johnston's performance against Michigan has in the eyes of Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Because that
cover this guy.
absolutely affects
everybody else, right?
Yeah.
We couldn't cover this guy in the college football playoff.
That guy's got a new lease of life because the coach that just signed on thinks he's God, even because he probably didn't watch him in the NFL last year and just remembers him carving up Michigan. Yeah, that's a good point. I would definitely go, in this particular situation, would absolutely go receiving weapon over offensive lineman at 5. The other pick that's being connected to them a lot is Brock Bowers this high. This is like the first potential spot for Brock Bowers for a lot of people.
Really?
Yeah. They don't have, all of their tight ends are free agents, basically, except Parham. Gerald Everett's hitting free agency.
I got it.
Parham is the one guy staying there. They have no receiving threat at tight end without bringing in a Brock Bowers.
I don't know if I'm taking Bowers at 5 certainly not over Neighbors, especially because look how much Roman uses multiple tight ends quite a bit. I know he had Mark Andrews too. Mark Andrews is Bowers your Mark Andrews type, not necessarily the best run blocker, certainly not your inline. We're going to block a defensive end, down block on the 6 tech type of tight end, but he's going to get used. So that part I get. That's fine. I would still probably go receiver first. Either way, I want Herbert with playmakers, man.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I mean, it all depends on what you believe Brock Bowers is and how damaging you think the Kyle Pitts experiment has been to him.
But we've also, the reason why we're talking about Alt too is because we think they might want to overhaul this entire offensive line, right? They're solid on paper, Zion Johnson at left guard and Corey Linsley as he gets older. But right tackle's been an issue for a while. Trey Pipkin's there. Are they another team that's a candidate at 37 on the turn to go, so receiver at 5 and then get one of those second-round potential tackles, and now you're starting to move forward on the offensive side of the ball. And then they got to figure out running back. Because if you're going to run the ball that much,
you're going to need one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're dedefinitely drafting Blake Corum at 37.
Oh, Blake Corum would be so good.
Blake Corum at 37.
Blake Corum is a very he's a very Austin Eckler type of running back, actually.
I don't know. So when Pete Carroll went from USC to Seattle, way before we were even analysts.
Back in the late 90s.
I remember the jokes I remember thinking in my head, like, he's going to sign all the USC guys. And he didn't. He signed Mike Williams. And I don't think he got all of his
Taylor
USC
Mays.
Did he get after the fact?
Didn't he draft Taylor Mays?
I don't think he drafted him.
Didn't he?
Cincinnati did, didn't they?
Ah, you're right. But he ended up with him, right?
But that was like the jokes, like, oh, Pete's going to draft Taylor Mays at 9 or something,
He didn't actually draft.
He didn't go crazy on USC players, is my point.
Yeah.
What is Harbaugh that guy? Like, he's over there. He's the guy that's so here's the other thing. Pete Carroll also, I think, came out and said Mark Sanchez declaring early was a mistake.
The 49ers drafted Taylor Mays.
49ers did?
Yeah.
He also has this, like, people think he ran a 4.2 because it was unofficial, and then they made it like 4.44 or something. Right. Anyway, Pete Carroll came out and was very honest about Mark Sanchez when he came out early back in the day. And it was very realistic. And then he went out and he didn't just sign all the USC guys.
He kind of shat over Mark Sanchez, if I remember rightly.
Yes.
Like, everyone was expecting him to big him up, and he was sort of actually like, he's not even close to ready.
All the coaches who seem to do that, because I remember Brian Kelly did the same thing to Deshaun Kaiser, all the coaches are...
Well, you don't do
Jim
that.
Mora may have said the same thing about Josh Rosen.
Right.
I'm just saying all the coaches who came out and told the truth about their guys were right.
Yeah, I mean, you don't say something like that unless it's true. Like, certain. Why would you, you're not taking that kind of shot unless it's really blatant.
My point in all this is Jim Harbaugh has come out and said that J.J. McCarthy is the best player in the draft.
Right.
Is Jim Harbaugh the type of guy that's going to be like, I'm getting all go blue. Let's go. We're loaded up on our national championship team. Give me the offensive line back together. Get Corum running the ball. I just hope that's not remember the Lions draft a couple years ago where it felt like they were trying to instill the run game.
Mm-hmm.
And their draft was like Frank Ragnow at center, which was fine. But everything after that went running back, Kerryon Johnson. They drafted a fullback. They drafted a run-stopping linebacker. Everything was that.
Yeah.
If the Chargers go like tackle, they go alt, they go Blake Corum, they go run-blocking tight ends, they go nose tackle, run stopper. I just don't know if I want to go down that path, but I could actually see it.
I mean, if you're implementing a Greg Roman type of offense, you are presumably going to have quite a run-focused draft or off-season generally. Like, you are going to be trying to get bigger, stronger, tougher, and you're going to want a running back from somewhere because you probably don't have one at the moment.
All right. Anything else specific about the Chargers? I want playmakers. I want speed.
What type of running back do they want?
They run power counter, Roman. They're running.
Right, but even that, like, what type of running back do you want for that these days? Because this is the thing. The run game has changed in today's NFL where even for a power type of scheme, like even for a gap type of scheme, I actually think you still want explosive speedsters.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you don't want Derrick Henry-looking people.
Yeah, there's not like a specific type. I think some guys just with running backs, it's not about a size thing. You always have to have good vision. You always have to be shifty. You always want big playability, and you always want to like be able to create yards after contact.
Mm-hmm.
I think the difference is some guys are just naturally more conducive to like one cut downhill style of zone. Other guys you have to be a little bit more patient setting up blocks in a gap scheme. To me, those are the traits. It's less about this dude's 230, this dude's 210, that type of thing.
So they're probably not drafting Jonathan Brooks on the basis that he's coming off a knee injury.
Yeah.
Even though he might be running back one. Who would be your guy in the draft?
You're asking me about running backs in February.
Yes,
I haven't done my running back work.
Trey Benson would be great for them.
Trey, I thought you were going there.
You
like Estime.
I do. I like
from
Estime
Notre
a
Dame.
lot. You also listed a bunch of attributes that frankly defined Will Shipley. Vision, shifty.
Yeah.
Will Shipley from Clemson, get that man in that offense. Watch him cook.
I like it. I'm glad that you've done some running back work. I feel dirty if I start scouting running backs before other positions are completed, before I've done my work at the other positions extensively.
Drew in the chat is saying Blake Corum is not an explosive speedster. Well, he's explosive. He's not a speedster. I
wasn't suggesting that he is. He's just a good all-around running back.
He's extremely explosive, but tops out quite quickly.
Yeah.
Like he's got incredible burst and then like hits the rev limiter really fast.
Who's that? That's somebody.
But also, by the way,
that's somebody I could.
Corum 2022 and 2023 are different players coming off a knee injury. So
his athleticism. Let me pull out the athleticism score. I think it. I think it tells that story about.
So the big question,
injury.
if you're analyzing Blake Corum, is 2023 the guy we are getting in future? Like, did the knee injury permanently damage him as an explosive playmaker, or is he a player that's just taking a year to get back to where he was, which is insanely explosive?
Yeah, at the percentile, we had him in the 94th percentile in 2021.
Okay.
He was in the 75th percentile in 22 and 62nd percentile in 23. So his athleticism score has gone down. Max speed has gone down. What he's topped out at, yeah. We have a 20 point. We're in like a slightly different scale, what we use from what people hear from NGS. But his max speeds have gone down a little bit the last couple of years as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you just need to ask yourself the question as a team, like, was this permanent or is this just a year coming back from injury?
All right. Have we done enough to fix the Chargers?
Yeah, we cut a bunch of players. We drafted them, probably Malik Neighbors at 5. We gave them a selection of running backs to draft, and we're giving them linemen in like the second and third round, right?
Yeah, that all sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Keep Derwin. They're another one of those teams that's primed to just be better on defense, just by scheme change.
Sure.
They're just gonna like the Vikings this year, just by scheme change, just by reshuffling some things, that they have a chance to just be better. So